volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave,
human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
I think we know what that was from. Do we remember what that was from?
I love that movie.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Morning, Oz.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Happy Wednesday.
You've made it to July 15th.
You made it.
July 15th.
What's the significance of July 15th? Well, I figure out why my mouse isn't working.
We're halfway through the year. I don't know. What is it?
Day after Flag Day. French independence was yesterday. My stepfather, Bob's
Viva
birthday.
la France.
Let's see what else. Tax Day.
That's
Tax
it.
Day.
That's it. Tax day. Happy tax day.
I am getting my annual poor person spring return. Oh, that was a good transition.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was crazy. What just happened?
Oz had to re-plug his mouse because it's not working right, but now it might. Oh my God, it fell on the floor. Okay, here I am. So, yeah.
Hot mess.
A hot mess today. I've got to do some summer cleaning here, I guess. Anyway, Whitney. This is the last day Whitney's going to be here for what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What, Whitney? What's going on?
I'll be back the show of August 5th.
August 5th.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, be safe in your travels, and we know it's going to be rough for you to be out there in this time of madness, but it's necessary. So be safe there, girl. Okay.
Yeah, we're driving. We're not flying, so we got masks. We got all the hand sanitizer. It's gonna be crazy. So, but we gotta help out.
Family member.
My family member.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're in their 60s.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be in your shoes. So we will miss you, Whitney, on Women's Wednesday.
Miss you guys.
Yeah, are you going to
I'll be back.
You going to be on Women's Wednesday tonight with Chris at the Natural
Yes.
Progressive?
Yay.
Okay.
Stay
Good.
clear of brain-eating amoebas, please.
Yeah.
Yes, no
Oh my
swimming in
God.
warm waters.
Oh no, I'm not even. I'm like quarantined at a house.
Good.
Okay. Beekeepers.
Such.
now.
But nothing like no partying. There's no way. It's interesting because Florida, it's like a mini Trumpville. I was saying before the show, it's like the cases are out of control. It's really scary, actually, what's going on there. So it's going to be challenging, but we're not interacting with anyone besides his parents. If not, we have to get them out of there.
Yeah, right.
Because it's so serious, and that's why Florida is just. It's unbelievable what's going on there.
So what is going on there besides Disneyland opening? Anything? They have a hotspot, COVID hotspot, or what?
15,000 cases per day, usually. Because the governor, Ron DeSantis, he was that racist governor who won in 2018, telling Andrew Gilliam, don't monkey this up kind of thing. So that's how I remember Ron DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, he's...
Real gem.
Yeah, exactly. That's one way of saying it. He just refused to shut down, and then the Republican convention is going to be in Jacksonville in August. So there's a lot going on in Florida. It's definitely what I say mini Trumpville right now.
Mini Trumpville.
I'm sure there's people that are against it, but
Well, I heard Ronnie got heckled really good at a press conference the other day. That somebody grabbed the mic and said, "You ain't doing shit, and neither's anybody else. So good, break it off in his eye, Florida, because he's like all of them, and he's not even a neoliberal Democrat. He's a right-wing freak, right?"
Yeah, but they're one and the same. Aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I can't tell them apart sometimes, so I have to qualify who they are, because it could be,
Exactly.
Did I say something wrong, Amber? I think I did. I didn't bring my high chair this morning, so I'm kind of low. I'm like,
I'm up.
yeah.
I'm up today.
Yeah, what I haven't tried yet on this show is my impression of Uncle Fester. I need to get a light bulb and see if I can get it to go in my mouth. So,
I don't think a lot of people know who Uncle Fester is, honey.
Oh my God, am I dating myself? Good morning, Melissa. Hey, Al, what's going on, Al? Al from Vermont's in the house. Vermont and Melissa.
Summer number 5 wants to know what kind of,
Mickey
Mickey
Mouse.
Mouse operation is this?
Yeah, exactly. I've got mouse ears, but they don't show up because of my green screen. They kind of like come in and out. It's like that Mandela effect or whatever, the collider thing.
Yeah.
They're there, then they go into another dimension. I just hope they don't end up in somebody's ass in the other dimension. We
Your own.
Yeah, like my own. Yeah, I mean it's a true appendage. Okay, mouse ears for an appendage. We have the Wipey Award right off the gate today, and we have a dead heat between Fiorella Isabella and John Uphill at Uphill Media. Fiorella Isabella, man, did she knock it out of the park yesterday on several posts. This one is stop using powerful political figures from decades past to politically shame our youth into voting for one of the architects of this failed fucking system. I know she wanted to say fucking there. We are we're in a different time. Our reality requires us to physically, mentally, and spiritually challenge the deadly status quo, period. Man, did I get a lot of likes on that, and I wasn't even the originator. So Fiorella, and let's go on to what won her this Wipey Award straight out. Shanda, can you speak to this quickly? Shanda.
Yeah, she did a great breakdown at the Democratic convention yesterday on the Cavo couch. She had me hooting and hollering and cheering, she breaks it down nice that, we will not be participants. Bernie delegates will have no say in this. This will be a Biden coronation.
Yeah,
I just listened to that this morning. That's my new wake up, is listening to the Democratic convention YouTube stream, because it's all scripted. It's very sweet.
Sponsored by Northrop Grumman.
No, yeah.
Merrick, Boeing. Monsanto.
Nobody ever votes no. It's just like everything. Acclamation.
Yeah,
acclamation.
Yeah, acclamation.
Acclamation.
Yeah, let's take care of the rich because they're the only ones that matter. Anyway, here we go. Fiorella knocks it out of the park. Yeah, go Fee.
Proof that the Democratic Party isn't moving anywhere to the left, especially right now. So the breaking news is the Democratic convention will not be on Zoom. No Bernie delegates or delegates will be on. Only some credentialed media have access. Mainstream media, in other words. And only what these people broadcast is going to show. In other words, as Chris Shimizu posted on her Facebook, so the Democratic National Convention will not be meeting in person and will not be on Zoom. There will be no opportunity for transparency or accountability. In other words, the DNC is bound to be like a silent but deadly fart unless they change something else. So I'm not saying we're not going to be able to view the convention. What I am saying is there's not going to be transparency, because what you view will be selected by a handful of establishment elitist corporations, and there's not going to be the ability of these delegates to be there voicing their protests. If you read the whole thing that I'm going to show you guys in a minute, it's basically a giant coronation for Joe Biden. Like, I don't know any other way to explain it. And so basically,
no argument here. I gotta say, Amber, since we're doing the PDPR convention this weekend, can you speak to this a little bit?
Certainly, the PDPR convention specifically, or the Dem convention?
Well, you choose. You're talking.
Okay. So basically, these rules have been coming down from the DNC, I would say early May. As states were getting ready and getting fired up for their own conventions. I was one of the lucky speaker participants in the Washington State Convention, but there was literally, a very small handful of people who had helped write the platform. And we were fortunate enough to have a space to speak. And we had to organize outside of that on how to communicate with our people, because normally, you can read the room, you can see what everybody's talking about, you can respond and react to things. And when that is shut down and there's no way to challenge a vote or challenge the chair, it's really not a true convention. And that's really what we're dealing with here. So basically, if you're a Bernie delegate, you can watch. Some people are, they have gotten in on committees, but they're not in positions of power. They don't really have, this whole like unity influence is garbage, in my opinion. And so it's just basically, whatever they want to produce, whatever show they want to throw out there and say it was a Democratic convention, go for it. So we're having our own.
We're having our own PDPR this
You know,
weekend.
as a Bernie delegate in 2016 who was at the last convention, you know, we had plans in place. We, you know, if we objected to a bylaw or, you know, we had strategies in order to push back, and we don't even have that. And that's intentional because they don't want us ruining their party like we did in 2016. You know, we ruined Hillary's party.
Oh, we ruined. It's our fault. It's our fault.
Of
Trump.
2016, they already had their candidate picked out, so everything's scripted, like you guys said. It's frustrating.
So how are they?
Brought to you by Key Bank.
Yeah, how are they going to sell that shit? I mean, just by doing it like that, who's going to watch it?
Sold it. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So this is just a freebie. This is just what? This is Cinderella, Joe Biden style. What is it?
I mean, let's not forget Bernie Sanders is still winning states.
Yeah, and that's really amazing considering how much of the base has been alienated by Bernie. You know, for whatever reason. I mean,
Right.
yeah, I think it's like break it off and stick it with a lot of them. So yeah, I just I'm not looking forward to the Dem debate, but or the Dem debate, the Dem convention, the Dem coalition of Joe Biden. Jesus is coming.
He is the only one. Convo Couch is really the only one chasing this story down and making sure that information's getting out there. I mean, it's very limited, the information about what's going on anyways. So yeah.
Why is
Huge
that?
kudos.
Why?
Go watch that interview.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is the Convo Couch and a few of us the only ones doing this, Shanda? Why? Why do you say?
Corporate media doesn't want you to know that this is going to be a sponsored, televised, pre-planned program.
But we supposedly we have a lot of progressive social media speakers. Why aren't they talking about it? Young Turks, they have like a bazillion.
Oh yeah, because everybody thinks the Young Turks are just so progressive. Come on, a lot of us were done with them in 2016.
Yeah, come on, guys. You know, we're not telling you what to watch, but John and Chink and Anna and the rest of them, they're like so hit and miss anymore. It's crazy, and we're not ordering them what to do. We're in no position. We're just the small guppies in the big stream. But really, I get more from the bounty of all the progressive social media from them rather than any time spent at Young Turks. I get nothing. We don't show cuts from Young Turks very often because they don't have anything.
Maybe John Ileota is the only one we ever really show.
And Shanda likes John. I don't like John, but and I would like to debate John. I think
that he does a good job of going to stories that nobody else is talking about, and that's why I
that's fair. He does.
I can't stand Anna or Jane.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's why Jimmy left. The whole Russiagate bullshit. They bought that hook, line, and sinker and perpetuated.
Yeah, Jimmy couldn't.
Well, I think they had to.
Yeah, they had to.
Right, all that money they
getting
got from
paid. Yes, yeah, they were getting paid. Anyway, let's move on before my selfish focuses go.
What is happening in the news?
Yeah. Oh, Shanda, this is. I feel so bad for this woman. What is this about, Shanda?
Yeah, this is kind of a sad story about karma coming and kicking your ass. So, we'll run the clip. I'll elaborate.
Okay.
Truck and is in life-threatening injuries. And has life-threatening injuries. A woman whose racist rant and attack on a black teenager and a Muslim woman made international news has been struck by a vehicle. Rachel Dawn Ruitt of Terry's Gap Road in Henderson County suffered life-threatening injuries after being struck by an Asheville Fire Department pickup truck July 13th in West Asheville. Officers with Asheville Police Department are investigating. Quote, this afternoon at approximately 1:30 p.m., the Asheville Police Department responded to the 800 block of Patton Avenue after reports of a pedestrian being struck
I don't
in the
think
roadway.
we can hear it.
Upon arrival, officers located a female.
Yeah, that wasn't.
I don't like his. I'm just gonna be picky and say I don't like his voice either.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of people covering this story. So this woman went viral 2 weeks ago for racist hate rants out on the street. Like she literally physically was attacking people. She was ripping clothing off people, attacking them. She bit one person.
She bit somebody?
She looks really friendly in this photo. What do you mean?
Right. So apparently she's been out there for 2-3 weeks. She's been arrested once or twice. She's gone viral for her hate multiple times. Well, yesterday, while verbally accosting immigrants and people of color. She stepped off the curb, and a fire truck that was actually responding to the fact that she was down there causing problems hit her. And so she ended up in the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and she passed on last night. So
Sorry.
You know what? Karma's a bigger bitch than your racist bullshit.
Yeah, that's tough. And sadly for her family, obviously she has mental issues. And wow, a fire truck?
Yeah. You never know, man. The world's a crazy place.
Oh, strange. They all could hear it. We couldn't hear anything on this end. Sorry, we cut it. We cut it.
No. Well, yeah. I think we got the first part of it. And again, that his sound was way low coming in. Low. So we apologize.
This was a Darwinian award. This is just hey. Karma's out there.
Yeah,
firm believer.
We never wish death on people, but we do feature karma when we can. So just
mean bitch when she shows up.
Yeah, and honestly, my dad used to say, you're like a piece of steel. When you get hot, you lose your strength. And when you get hot, you lose your brains. You're not cognizant of what's going on around you when you get pissed off. It can happen to anybody. When we get mad and get so solely focused on rage and anger, we don't pay attention to the stop or go signs. So, sorry, lady,
My favorite used to be, there was a little saying that was in little yard picket signs when I was a kid that I'd walk by, 2 or 3 words per little sign.
Yeah.
And it was all along the sidewalk, and it was, don't lose your head to gain a minute. You need your head. Your brains are in it.
Oh, I like that. That's almost like a limerick.
Yes.
Yeah, we could do a limerick and
it tickled my fancy.
It tickled your fancy. Hey, Jilly. Barbara. Hello, Barbara. Wow, everybody's in the house. Cheese Man. The Cheese Man's here.
Ah, Cheese Man's here.
Yeah, you made it. You on a break today? I'm glad you see Cheese Man. He's a very, very big supporter. Love to have you back, Cheese, when you get time. I know you're busy, so doors open. We have got, and this, speaking of Cheese Man, we've got one of his favorites, Kyle Kalinske. The ultra wealthy are responsible for 70% of illegal tax dodging. Who knew? Who the hell knew? Kyle makes some salient points, and if you get a chance, I'd watch this whole video. Kyle Kalinske. The ultra wealthy are responsible for 70%. I think it's more.
We just covered the story about how 32% of the country is late on their payment for July to pay their rent or their mortgage. 32%. And the expanded unemployment runs out at the end of this month. So when that runs out, we literally could have over 50% of the country being unable to afford the roof they have over their head. Keep that in mind as I tell you this next story. There's a new report about wealthy tax cheats. And this will show you who the real criminals are in our country. Common Dreams reports the following. A Congressional Budget Office report commissioned by Senator Bernie Sanders and published Wednesday found the amount of unpaid taxes from 2011 to 2013 averaged around $381 billion per year, a revenue shortfall the Vermont senator called an absolute outrage that is largely a result of big corporations and wealthy tax cheats dodging their obligations. The richest 1% is responsible for 70% of all unpaid taxes, Sanders said in a statement late Wednesday, pointing to a separate study of the so-called tax gap published last November. The CBO analysis out Wednesday found that massive Internal Revenue Service budget cuts and staff reductions over the past decade have resulted in a sharp decline in examination and enforcement of tax underpayment and avoidance. Quote, enforcement activity for many high-income non-filers has been reduced to a series of notices, the report says. The CBO's findings bolster reporting by ProPublica last year that found the IRS, quote, now audits poor Americans at about the same rate as the top 1%, due in part to the high costs of examining the tax returns of the rich.
Oh,
so they go on to say, quote, the IRS examination rate for the largest corporations, those with $20 billion or more in assets, dropped by about half from 2010 to 2018. The wealthiest taxpayers with more than $1 million in income saw their audit rate cut by 63% during the same time. In other words, there's a clear shift away from the government looking into corporations dodging taxes and the wealthy dodging taxes. And now more and more, they're shifting towards let's shake down poor people who don't have that much anyway.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna run this a little bit more of this in a second, but this is not really news because it has been trending this way for the last 3 decades. So let's just round it up: 381 billion, 400 billion. Now, how do we pay for the goddamn wars? How do we pay for, Wall Street? How do we do that? Because that's the first thing these fuckers are going to say when it comes to funding Medicare for all, social safety net, everything else. How are we going to pay for it? Well, there's 400 billion right there that would take care of quite a bit of that. Now, Whitney, what's your slant on this? You have this information, or you had it before. What do you think about this?
Okay, I have to take a sidestep and link a specific person that pisses me off, which is the Ivanka Trump issue right now.
Yeah.
You heard about that?
We talked about it yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Okay, so
no, go for it. No, we want to hear it. Bring it on.
Okay, well, it applies to this because not only are the rich, right, getting tax cuts from something that Ivanka Trump and the Trump administration, as well as Steve Mnuchin, advocated for in 2017, and they got it, right? That was the story at the end of the year. They also avoid taxes, corporations, these rich people, and Ivanka Trump, what she said yesterday or the day before, find something new to the American workers. And they're so out of touch. It's just unbelievable what's going on. There's so much corruption, and it's not about American workers not having this skill. It's about the lack of jobs, right? So it's just out of touch. And
Yep. It was very out of touch.
So I take it from what you said that you're going to join John Ellis and become a guillotine operator for your new job. Is that right?
I'll write the cookbook.
Don't write the cookbook. Yeah, I'm gonna write my gingerbread cookbook and put on my witch's nose. Shanda, I know that you don't have any feelings about this one way or the other, right?
Yeah, can I tell you, my daughter, who is 27 years old, who's made less than $32,000 a year, her whole adult life has been audited 3 effing times. 3 times because they questioned her unearned income claim of her children. And they do everything they can to mess with her. They don't process her stuff. She's been fighting for her tax return this year since January, and now the IRS isn't even opening their mail till October, is what they told her, because she has faxed in all the information they asked for. Yeah, and so the fact that they're auditing the poor people and robbing us of money, but we know that the corporate elite, that these rich assholes, they are cheating, lying, stealing. Come on. That's why Trump won't release his taxes, is because we know that he's fudged his numbers. This is disgusting. This is just one more piece of the puzzle that America is in for something we've never seen historically.
Great Depression level stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is very classic, though. This is the same thing with all of these systems. It's pick on the youth, pick on the poor people, no matter what the topic is. It's very similar. Oh, it's too difficult to bring a difficult case forward, so let's throw a bunch of kids in jail. Yep. Oh, or poor people without resources. I mean, this is not rocket science. This is what they've been doing over and over again, and this is just another example of it. And it's as somebody who pays a shit ton of money in taxes through my taxed job, as required by paycheck laws, it's infuriating. I'm about to get my spring bonus because I did file my taxes, because I overpay, because that's the only way I get a savings account. Exactly. That's how upside down this goddamn country is. It just makes me furious. I'm sorry.
No, it's so wrong.
What are you sorry for? I wouldn't be sorry. I'd line up. I think we have 3 potential recruits for guillotine operators, and I'm not kidding. I think people are at the fucking breaking point. I'm so done. This is why I say vote out all these goddamn incumbents, both sides. Vote them out. Oh, but so and so's great. No. They didn't cut it because against what they were at. So let's just vote them all out. Take the Etch-a-Sketch, shake them out. Let's start over again because these guys have failed for decades. These lifetime politicians have brought us to where we are now. A few of them act like they're trying to do something. And some of them sincerely do, but I can count them.
Yourself out of it.
I can count them on 3 or 4 fingers out of what 540. I don't know, something like that.
We can't vote our way out of this.
We can't. You cannot vote. Well, yeah, I
can't get them in fast enough.
Yeah, we can't get them in fast enough.
Can't get them in.
Okay, we get some progressive wins, but we're not going to change this at the ballot box. It's going to take millions of us on the street scaring the fuck out of them, like Trump hiding in his bunker before things start to change.
We've got to take the chess game and flip it off the table. Just flip it off. Get all new pieces, whatever. Dominoes, chess, whatever. That's the analogy. They all got to go. And yeah, sure, we want Pelosi and Schumer out. Pelosi, California, for the love of God, convo couch. Get Pelosi out of there. Get Shahid Butler.
But can they do that when the elections are rigged?
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean,
in Florida
look at Jen Perlman. Do you think she's going to beat Debbie Wasserman Schultz in Florida? I don't think so.
Canova couldn't. She can't.
Yeah, I mean, they literally stole the ballots and burned them because they rigged it so bad. So again, let's listen a little more, Kyle, here because he gets quite animated. Let's see if I got the right cut. If not, I'll stop it and we'll move on.
About $381 billion per year.
Per year.
In wealthy tax dodging. Per year. Per year. With that money, let me repeat it, we could fund tuition-free college. That's only about $60 billion. Eliminate child hunger, ensure clean drinking water for every American household, build 500,000 affordable housing units as we have a housing crisis that's about to hit, that we're actually in already, and we could provide mass to all with that money.
Per year, $381 billion.
Do you see how broken the system is? And the media's job is to gaslight you about all this too, by the way.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because every time there's a suggestion to help the people, you have a parade of idiots saying what? Say it with me now. How you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay for it?
How you gonna
pay for it? How you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay for it? They say that every time.
Every time.
Free call?
Every time. Okay, I think you get the point. I mean, this is another great clip. I mean, like him, love him, hate him, whatever. Kyle is right more often than he is wrong by far.
And he admits when he's wrong.
He admits when he's wrong. That's what makes him so much better than saying Chink and TYT. I mean, he admits when he's wrong. He doesn't double talk his way out of it. So again, I don't worship at the toilet bowl of anybody, but if I was going to have to drink out of one, it'd be his. Ooh, that's terrible. That's terrible. But
pass, thank you.
No, but he's
Get that on record now.
Yeah, audience. You do. Hey, you think I'm kidding? Wait till those of us who are on wells who have no power to pump the water out of the ground. What are we going to do? I'm going to fill up my bathtub the day before I know everything's going to go to shit, and I'm going to have a bathtub full of water that's going to last me what, a couple of days? Okay.
One day.
Yeah, one day.
That's 72 hours.
72 hours.
They actually make a bathtub thing you can fill up for emergencies.
Well, I think we should just make
Not a prepper.
Not a prepper.
Yeah, make a big cocktail out of it and have one shot. Just put in some vermouth and whatever you got. I mean, that's
Large olives.
Large olives. Large olives. That certainly ain't my balls. Anyway, going on. This one segue, and I hit the right tab, ladies. I got this ongoing joke with the ladies because they seem to have like 50 tabs across their screen. When Oz gets like 12, his brain starts to atrophy. It's like, I can't handle more than 12 tabs, girls. But anyway, this one is not about the Barry Weiss story, which we happen to be in the...
Can I say, Barry Weiss apparently is a neocon, but that's how close these motherfuckers are. I thought she was a neo-lib.
Yeah, I think... Honestly, Shanda, you pronounce motherfuckers better than anybody I know. I mean, it's just very well.
One of my favorites.
But, this isn't necessarily about Barry Weiss, but David Dole, had a couple of good clips, some classic hits.
We like looking at Dole anyway.
Yeah, I know. Pretty boy. I think I like the better Don Johnson. No full beard. It looks too dirty. But this is what MSNBS was doing back in the early 90s or the 90s, end of the 90s. And I just want to tell you again, NBC, ABC, CBS, they are full-on propaganda networks. They work for Northrop Grumman. They work for the pharmaceutical industries. They work for Bayer. They are full-on propaganda networks. So if you're still watching that and you think you're getting viable information, you're not. You're getting a fistful of propaganda up your ass, and I'll debate that all day long with anybody. And that's just it. But anyway, I digress. Here we go. Now this is exactly what they've been doing, and these are two of the best examples I would have picked. So kudos to you there, David.
And the McClatchy bought them up. So Knight Ridder and McClatchy, they got the Iraq War right. Everyone else got it wrong. And the voices that were speaking out against the Iraq War were silenced and also fired. So let me give you an actual example here. Phil Donahue lost in 2003, got fired from MSNBC when he came out against the Iraq War.
Well, I think what happened to me, the biggest lesson, I think, is how corporate media shapes our opinions and our coverage. This was a decision, my decision, the decision to release me, came from far above. This was not an assistant program director who decided to separate me from MSNBC. They were terrified of the anti-war voice, and that is not an overstatement. Anti-war voices were not popular. And if you're General Electric, you certainly don't want an anti-war voice on a cable channel that you own.
You own.
Rumsfeld's your biggest customer. So, by the way, I had to have two conservatives on for every liberal. I could have Richard Pearl on alone, but I couldn't have Dennis Kucinich on alone. I was considered two liberals.
Phil Donahue lost his job at MSNBC despite incredible ratings at the time because he was against the Iraq War. Now maybe you think, oh, that's just one single this has never happened before. This never happens. It's just one rare instance where somebody on the left was fired. Nope, actually, here's Jesse Ventura talking about how he lost his hosting gig at MSNBC.
You had to deal with MSNBC at
right
one
out
point.
of came out of office. 2003, I was the hottest commodity out there. Fox, MSNBC, and CNN got in a bidding war for me. MSNBC won. I signed a 3-year contract with them. I was supposed to be on 5 nights a week, but there was a problem. After I signed the contract, we were putting the whole show together. It came out that I opposed the Iraq War. Well, at the same time, they had just hired Phil Donahue. Phil was their highest rated show. He also opposed the Iraq War. Phil got pulled from the air, and I was never allowed on, basically.
So I want people
and they paid me for the whole 3 years, so I was handcuffed by their contract. I couldn't do any news shows, couldn't do any other network, and they paid the entire 3 years. It's the easiest money I've ever made, but they, in essence, censored me because I honor contracts, and, as long as they paid me, they owned me.
Yeah.
So there's someone else who was canceled by corporate media.
Okay, you know what?
Ed Schultz too.
Ed Schultz
silenced him.
That was Andy Lackey. I think Andy Lackey got his last year with the Me Too's, right? Yeah. I mean, Matt Lauer, all of them. It's just we were having a thing about a sausage fest. All these scumbags have certain things in common, like Epstein, like Hollywood, like Weinstein. What else? What are the other commonalities besides being part of the billionaire boys club? What's that club, that group we were talking about the other night, Shanda? The where they meet every year.
Oh, the Bohemian Grove.
The Bohemian Grove Club. Yeah. This is all a corrupt club, and that's what I believe that Phil Donahue is referencing about. It wasn't a production assistant. It's that Bohemian Bilderberger Club that owns, General Electric owns the show. I mean, and they'll change the names. It's just like when you can have these. Who had Eric Prince on the other day? Fox, Tucker Carlson, Eric Prince.
Tucker, go fishing, Tucker.
We're not supporting them either. They're just like the Inquirer of the of all those. But once again, we have to be the press. We have no choice. It's the reality of the thing. We all know it. And what do we have? We have Cheeseman up here.
Yeah,
Cheeseman. Yeah.
Thank you, Cheeseman.
Thanks, Brian. Brian. From Cheeseman. With you, Oz. Love the show and appreciate all your opinions. Kyle is very much right on many things. What is coming is going to be worse than GD era. Yeah,
the Great Depression, definitely.
Yeah, it is. And I think that just finishes that. That's where we're at now. Now, where are we going to here? We're going to go to...
You're the driver. You're
yeah,
navigating.
I know. I got all these damn tabs.
Come on, Miss Daisy, get us somewhere.
Get us somewhere. Democracy Now! What are we doing here?
Okay, so this one is 206 to 452.
And what are we going to talk about here?
We're going to talk about private property and how it goes hand in hand with the police state.
Please explain.
Okay.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Juan. Well, the pandemic and the uprisings have raised fundamental questions about what the state does and does not, and for who has to work in what form and for what pay, and the interdependence of all of our lives. We have 18 million people unemployed in the country, and as you were saying, 20 million people face possible eviction and houselessness by the fall. And the response from Trump and Tim Cook recently was to tell Americans to find something new. We had the one-time $1,200 payout from the feds and various forms of closings of housing court, which are now coming to a close, as you mentioned. There has been a total lack of imagination and, more importantly, political will to respond to the basic human needs of people. And if this is not the purpose of our coming together and electing people to represent us, we should be asking some hard questions of what the purpose of the state is. But I want to take a moment to unpack cancel rent and defund the police, which are two really important demands that organizers and social movements are making across the country. Police and private property are central defining institutions of life in the United States. We know the centrality of police to local budgets now and the immense power that they have and their sprawling scale, because it has been on spectacular display for the last 2 months since Minneapolis police killed George Floyd. But it might be worth taking a moment to talk about private property, which is also everywhere and structures our everyday lives, but is arguably a bit more subterranean in how it does. Private property is the basis of our legal regime. It's a settler regime, a capitalist regime, a racial regime. It creates these relationships where some people own property and most people don't. And if you don't own property, you have to pay for it. This is pretty weird if you think about it. We are human, we have physical bodies, we need space to exist, to sleep, to eat, to take care of one another. But we live in a society where you need to pay for space to live. The private property regime then creates a direct contradiction with people meeting people's needs. And so both police and private property are rooted in the histories of enslavement and conquest. They are not systems rooted in collective care and social provision. And it's not as if we have the police over here and private property over there. These are fundamentally interconnected institutions that prop one another up. They are central to the stories, the structures, and the relationships that sustain things as they are. And so it might be helpful to think for a moment about the connection between these institutions, because part of what I argued in the piece is kind of this radical imagination coming out of today's social movements that's telling interwoven stories about the world that we live in and the world that we must build. So many police killings around the country have happened in gentrifying neighborhoods, including here in Columbus, where Columbus...
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so, I was out randonauting. If you don't know what that is, go check out my Accidental Activist. And one thing that it really opened my eyes to was how much private property is around me. It was almost shocking to realize that there's so many places just even out my door that I can't go. And so this really hit home with me. It made me open my mind a little bit to the fact that, oh my God, yes, they do go hand in hand, and that the local sheriff's departments are the ones that are enforcing these private properties, evictions. They are doing the job of the elite landowners to remove us. And where are we supposed to go? You know, we do have to have somewhere to eat, sleep, raise our children. What's going to happen in the next couple of months when millions are homeless?
It's a great question.
Yeah, Whitney, what's your feeling on that? Because I think your generation is going to be the ones that are going to have their panties pulled over their head and shoved out the door the most.
Oh, absolutely. It's just disheartening, and Shanda said it so well. The private property issue, right? There's so much private property, it's ridiculous. And, you know, going back to rent, rent is so damn high, especially in California, but I'm sure it's increasing other places. And, you know, as a young person, right, if you don't have help to go to college, you know, how the hell are you going to be able to afford $1,000 for a single or a studio? Some studios run $2,000. I mean, it's just unbelievable where, you know, decades ago, that wasn't the case. Even about 10 years ago, so that crash, 08, 09, and the housing crisis, you know, what is our generation, millennials and now Gen Z who are coming into their own, how the hell are we going to keep affording rent, you know, and if jobs keep getting lost, that Great Depression era, right, it's probably going to be worse. It's disheartening for those trying to find work now to pay the rent, and nothing has been done with rent, and there's no damn it. Okay, I'll let you guys go, but yeah, there's no plan for rent to help people pay their rent.
Yeah, no moratoriums. Yeah,
I actually saw one of the my little town, Skagway, Alaska, took their CARES money and turned it into direct payments to their residents.
That's
because
awesome.
they know everybody would have left because the economy left, because it's in the summertime, it's solely based on tourism. About 800 people, I believe, year-round residents. So they just turned around and they gave everybody money so that they can keep buying groceries and they can keep paying their rent. And they can keep, you know, a lot of seasonal jobs. But this has been the big plan all along, was to keep everybody working multiple jobs, keep everybody distracted, keep everybody drowning in debt to the point where they can't organize. We can't get active. We can't take up enough offices. And that's one of the reasons that I just said, screw it, and decided to run, because we need more regular people that have these experiences. We need people who have struggled in these offices because they haven't. They have no clue. They have no connection to having to work multiple jobs, raise a family, get your kids to sports, put food on the table. You know, I mean, they just don't have a clue. They're so out of touch.
So out of touch. And, you know, tomorrow night we're going to have Amber King on The Accidental Activist. And I've had a lot of fun going through Amber's past and picking out, you know, points to talk about. And I just got to say, Amber's the real deal. She's lived the struggles and she's fought the good fight. And so tune in tomorrow night, learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'm going to be engineering that, so I'll be in on that conversation.
You might be there.
Yeah,
we might invite you.
I might be there, and
it'll be a chamber. Is that what you call it?
It'll be a chamber. It'll be the chamber show. So, before we get to the big one, and we're already at 45, can we run through this one quickly? Garbage economy.
Yeah. This one's got a graph to it. This one's shocking.
Yeah, this one is shocking, and I started at 4:30, I believe.
Can you believe it? Reuters is actually suggesting what we've been talking about all along. Federal Reserve's $3 trillion rescue inflates market bubbles. I've been talking about this. You've been talking about this. We've been reading it all along, and now they have finally acknowledged it. The Federal Reserve's $3 trillion bid to stave off an economic crisis in the wake of what we are seeing here in 2020 is fueling excesses across U.S. capital markets. They give you a breakdown of all of those. I just wanted to highlight one of them. Debt binge. The Fed's bond buying programs encourage companies to tap credit markets and made the second quarter the busiest ever for debt issuance. Some $1.2 trillion of investment grade paper was sold in the first half of the year, the highest issuance volume recorded, which is definitely something to say. Even though the Fed refrained from buying most junk rated bonds, issuance was at $200 billion through June, more than double last year's rate. We know what they're doing. They are pushing a lot of money into places previously it would not go, and yet here we are today looking like it's never going to stop. S&P 500 versus the US GDP. US stock growth diverges from economic growth. We've never seen anything like this before in history.
All right, take it away, Shanda.
So this is Money GPS. I really like this channel. They do a great job with graphs. If you like graphs, I like graphs and statistics. Amber's shaking her head. I know you do. And so they really break it down. If you look at these spikes and up and downs and what's happening at this exact moment, you know, we knew that there was a bubble. We knew that it would just get worse with the CARES Act and the smash and grab, as I call it. And we're in for historical issues that are on the horizon, you know. But they're admitting it is the point. They're admitting there's a huge bubble.
So this is what Bill Murray was talking about, Dan Aykroyd, biblical proportion, I believe.
They're not trying to hide it anymore, and that should scare the shit out of all of us.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not. It's in your face, and it's like, do they know something we don't know? Or, you know, Whitney, how's this gonna affect going forward for you and your family?
Not good. I mean, Los Angeles rent is high, and who knows? I mean, my personal family, my husband works as a teacher, and we'll see what happens with that. But just in general, the local economy, you know, it's crushed already by COVID, and we have this bubble. I mean, it's Great Depression level stuff that none of us have experienced. It's just, I had something I wanted to say. Hopefully it'll come back, but I'll give it to you guys.
No, I honest to God, you know, I think that we're all to a certain amount. We're thinking that this train wreck is going to keep chugging down the road. What I am seeing is points of demarcation down the road. We're going to go off the rails here.
We're already off the rails.
Well, and they're going to try and limp us back on. So those of us who are going to be guillotine operators might not go so fast becoming guillotine operators.
I would like to order my crazy train now.
Yeah, crazy train. Yeah, I mean, shit. But here's one that our friend Suzanne Murphy posted yesterday. Truth be known, Suzanne Murphy. Now, if this doesn't have you madder than effing hell, Citigroup has made the a SAP, not S&P, SAP like sucker, of the Fed. It's borrowing at 0.35%, and I even doubt that. I think they're just giving the money from the Fed while charging struggling customers 27.4% on their damn credit cards. It's just on their damn credit cards, okay? They are doing this. They're getting free money, basically free 0.35. Why even have the 3.5 on there? And they're screwing you guys 27.4%. I remember back in the day, I think there was a 12% max they could do.
Yeah, I was going to say 12 was what my parents taught me. Nothing more than 12. You don't want it.
So
they don't even give them to you unless they're at like 23 starting 18, now with good credit.
Good credit. With good credit. So, you know, you're getting the mafia, the Fed mafia, the government mafia is killing you on your credit cards. And again, I don't know. What do you tell people in this case, ladies? Who's first?
Let Amber go first.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, I actually have to run here, so I'm short for time. Don't do it. Don't fall into the game. You know, I don't know. I don't really have the correct answer. There's a lot of conversation. There's MMT theory out there. Don't fall for the credit. Get a credit union. Don't do credit cards if you don't have to. I mean, I have one tiny little one that I've had to, you know, prepay. That's my economic status.
Mine too.
You just can't rely on it. You can't rely on the banking system. You can't rely on the IRS. You can't rely on any of these systems to protect us. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that with this economic crisis, that they've literally consent manufactured. You know, this still has a, you know, very low mortality rate, yet the wealth grab. If you look at all of the situations in history, this is going to be one for the epic books, I believe.
Well, and don't think that it's going to get better under Biden. Who does Biden work for? Who is Biden owned by?
Credit card companies in Delaware.
Exactly.
Credit card company.
So it's time that we go back to what Grandma and Grandpa did, and that was burying coffee cans in the backyard and stuffing that cash in your mattress.
Is cash going to be any good?
No, they're trying to phase it out. I mean, we've talked about that all week. They don't want us having cash.
I was thinking about that this morning. Okay, so I go to the electronic cash because of the pandemic. I don't want to handle it.
Coin shortage.
Coin shortage. Yeah, coin shortage. I mean,
shit, I'm burying that shit in the backyard from now on. They ain't getting my cash.
Yeah, but is it really going to be any good? I mean, are they going to get so many massive numbers of people afraid of the pandemic on the money that it's going to be in the banks, and then they're going to lock the doors on the banks? Are they going to do that?
Well, and here's what they're doing is they're trying to move us to a one world dollar and a cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is start looking at the patents that have been filed.
Yep.
This is my favorite rabbit hole to jump down. If you want to know what's happening in the world, look at what patents have been filed. And then you look at to see which ones have been developed, which ones are making news, and which ones quietly are amazing ideas but never get developed because they're bought by certain corporations.
They buy them and
we've
kill
had
them.
all of the answers to fix things like the environment, to fix our healthcare, to fix our housing problems. We've had all those answers for a long time, but the people in charge do not want them to happen. They have suppressed information, much like they've suppressed news.
So go ahead.
I see a comment in the comments, Melissa, about how you solely use credit cards in your shop, and that's by design. What is the interest that you're paying the companies in order to use that machine and to process those credit cards? It's just more robbery of the working class and small businesses.
Yeah, when I was doing the credit card machines and the businesses I worked at, it was 3.3% is what we had to pay.
3.5.
Yeah, it's about that still.
Is it still in there?
3.3 to 3.7, I believe, is your average. 3.5s.
3.5s, and then there's other charges they give you.
Right.
On top of that, I think. So I feel your pain, Melissa. And
let me tell you, they're as pushy and as smirmy as the insurance salesmen. So, as a manager of businesses, I've gone rounds with these guys. They're very, very competitive. They want you processing credit cards through their stuff. It's insane.
Yeah. Amber, do you have to leave?
I do.
Okay. We are going to have a bonus round, so I want to give you the opportunity to jump out. Yeah. Thank you, Amber, for joining us. Yeah. We'll let you go out today, and it's always a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure I'll be talking to you all later.
Yeah.
Enjoy the sun. Say hi to your chickens.
Hi to your chickens.
I will.
Yeah.
Love my chickens.
I'm going to bury your camera right now. Okay. Bye. Okay. Bye, Amber.
Bye.
Okay. Now we're gonna have a bonus round here today.
Bonus round.
Bonus
Ding, ding,
speed round because it's so important and it's on the topic that we are talking about. So let's run this over here. This is Professor Richard Wolff. The economic crash will be worse than the Great Depression. Now, I know we're always cheery here on the Morning Dive, and we like to bring all this great news, but I believe this is very, very important. I have 3 cuts here for those of you who can hang out. Brian says, Cheeseman, sorry, Brian. Brahm is right under. Hey, Mitch. Gold. Yeah, gold used to be. I think commodities are going to be.
Gold's gone up, man.
Gold and silver.
Over 1,800 right now.
And silver is still shitting in the shithole.
Always will, always has.
Yeah, so, whatever silver you got, I'm holding on to my little couple of coins here, but it's not going like gold. Usually gold was always tied to silver, but since they're using lithium and all these other things, I think silver's lost its view. But anyway, Richard Wolff. Here's some stark reality. Now, I've got a couple of cuts here, ladies. Check this out.
More than 30% of Americans have not made their full housing payments for July, including 19% who made no housing payments at all. And as some unemployment benefits are set to expire at the end of the month, we could expect to see a number of defaults to increase.
Coupled with the end of eviction moratoriums, many households are really on edge. Even the banks know that this is not normal. Many of the heavy hitters like JP Morgan, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo have been bracing for an avalanche of default loans because of coronavirus. Here to weigh in on what banks, renters, and homeowners can expect, not to mention everyone, is Professor of Economics Richard Wolff. Welcome back to the show, sir. Always great to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
When you look at numbers like this, what can we equate this to and what can we expect going forward?
Well, frankly, you can't equate it to anything. It is the worst crash that we have experienced now, even in comparison to the Great Depression of the 1930s, partly because it hit so quickly and cut so deeply into our economy. We already knew that our economic system had meant that half our people could not handle $1,000 unexpected sudden expense. They simply couldn't do it. They didn't have enough money in the bank. They couldn't manage. Now you've given them a much bigger problem, months for many of them, of rent not paid, of mortgage payments not made. During that time, the landlords couldn't collect, which means in turn the landlords couldn't pay off their debts to the banks since they had borrowed in many cases. And this is true, by the way, for commercial rents just as much, if not more, than for residential rents. So yes, an avalanche is coming, but it is also a sign, and this is the key point, of a breakdown in our normal capitalist relationships. Tenants cannot pay their rent, landlords cannot pay off their debts, everybody is gearing up to go into court, organizing their lawyers to file thousands of lawsuits. We're looking at months, if not years, of crushing litigation, which is also an expense which people will not be able to carry. It is a tsunami in economic terms.
Yeah, I think that's...
Okay, this isn't the boy who cried wolf. I mean, that's terrible, isn't it, Richard? Okay. This is not the boy. This guy has been on it from the get-go.
Yep.
This, you know...
The American dream is dead.
It's dead and buried. It is dead and buried. This disaster that we have not even begun to feel the beginning of happening is ahead. I noticed that Snork was talking about having one credit card just for flight purposes. But
who can afford to fly anymore? Just the elite. Ask anybody who's tried to fly during this pandemic.
Well, yeah, there's still that element of service people or whatever you're doing in the industry working for these elite corporations that have the ability to fly a necessity out of their work. But yeah, you're right. Who can afford to do it?
There's massive layoffs coming in the airline industry.
Big time.
Like historical ones.
Big time. I mean, the airlines are going to default. They're going to go away. You're going to be down to what? 4 or 5 airlines pretty soon, at least in this country, I'm thinking. But around the world, they're just, these jobs, I think I heard a figure of 50 million unemployed overall. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now is 50 million. So
50
far.
million. 49 million. So again, Whitney, this has got to be terrifying for you. I'm an old fucker, so I've got a cookie jar that's going to last me maybe a year. So I don't have to worry about the $1,000 emergency for a year. But after that year, I'm not going to have shit in that cookie jar. So where are you at as far as how you're going to proof yourself against this nightmare?
Find something new.
We've been, exactly.
Shit. Guillotine operator.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like my life has always been frugal, right? I have to be frugal. Right. The 2000s was like excess, celebrity lifestyle. And then that 08, 09 crash, everyone turned indie and hip and we had to do it yourself. But now the reality is, that is our reality, probably to an extreme coming up in the 2020s. If we're talking about, we know what the Great Depression is, right? People in food lines and everything else that you see, it's disparity. People unemployed, and we're talking about worse than that. I mean, people couldn't eat. They were just wear the same clothes over and over again. I mean, we lived in this world of excess 2010s, 2000s, but we're in a whole different era now. And it's just being frugal and understanding that. I hate that, but it's the truth. I mean, we want to have a lot of money, right? Just a normal person to do what we want to do. But if we have to now, and more so than ever, we have to be choosier about what we purchase and what we really need. And it's really survival now. Get your tents, get your food supply, and understand that we're going to be in a rocky situation.
Yeah, you're not being flippant about this. This is scary shit.
Yeah.
Because although I might be a property owner, most people aren't on average,
Absolutely.
Shanda, you are in a similar circumstance of what I'm in, but tell us what your feelings are with your middle demographic. See, I'm the old guy in the room, so what are you doing?
The middle demographic. I've been screwed my whole life. The Clintons made sure that I didn't get an education. They made sure that I went to work for low wages, multiple jobs in order to pay my bills and keep my head above water. I haven't been above water since 2008, like most of the country. And to be fair, Richard Wolff has been screaming at us for 10 years that this was on the horizon, that it was there, that this is the actual outcome. Wolff was the first one to make me understand that capitalism has to be balanced out by social programs, by socialism. What is the counter of capitalism? It's socialism. And if we don't weigh it down with both like a scale, then we're screwed. And right now, capitalism is just out of control. And so he knew this was coming. And, I have to reckon back to Chris Hedges. Chris fairly was calling this out for many, many years too. And he says it's going to crash. It's going to all fall apart. The system's going to come down. And the one thing that we should be thinking of doing is, how do we help? How are we going to help our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, our friends get through this to survive? Because so many people are going to die as a result of this. So be the helpers out there, be it if you can cook, feed people, if you can, help people medically, help them. That's what it's going to come down to, is almost a tribalism. I hate to say it, but we're in for a scary time.
I think tribalism is going to be imperative over capitalism. And we see that shift right on the horizon. As I said before, August, September, October, November. That is going to be, I picture this train going off the tracks those 3 months, because there's not going to be a Christmas. There's not going to be an NFL. There's not going to be Halloween. There's not going to be Thanksgiving. You might think there is. You might think Oz is full of shit, but I'll stick with my, this is such an important interview. Here's the next clip here.
Such an important point. And Professor, one of the things that we caught our eye this morning is that JP Morgan is setting aside $10 billion to cover expected losses. And I think you can explain that no bank in the country sets aside huge amounts of money to cover losses if it is not a near certainty that is going to happen. But most Americans do not have $10 billion in capital in order to cover their losses. What is the magnitude of loss that we are about to see on a personal wealth level?
I think on a personal wealth level, we're going to see a surge in homelessness, people who cannot in any way, shape, or form manage this situation. If you are evicted, you can't cover the cost of a lawyer to protect you against this eviction, especially because the lawyer may not be able to prevail against the kind of legal heavy hitting that banks can afford, that large landlords can afford. We're going to have this spectacle on top of all of everything else happening to us, of that American situation in which we have homeless people sitting on the curb across the street from unoccupied apartments and homes.
And that's exactly what you're going to have. Now I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
We have a comment here from.
That is Los Angeles right there.
Yeah, it is. It's Seattle too. Seattle's insane like that. Absolutely. Now Brent McKinney. You know what, Brent? I hear you. We've got Brent McKinney. Oligarchs won't want it to completely dismantle. More stimulus is coming in a couple of weeks. All three branches agree. I don't disagree. I think that
no, they're going to try to save their asses with stimulus.
Yeah, they're going to, because they're not stupid. They're just arrogant. Okay, they're not stupid.
Arrogant and greedy.
Arrogant. Well, we're going to figure this out. We're just going to throw some more crumbs off the table, and that's going to, paste everything forward for a while.
Right.
I don't think
that's why the bubble keeps growing.
Yeah, I honestly, Brent, I wouldn't disagree. But there's a couple of motivating factors behind this too. Shandon and I have talked in depth on this. Trump is going to be behind this stimulus unless he absolutely does not want to win another term in the presidency. Or his arrogance has overridden whatever molecules of gray matter he has left in his thick skull. So, there's a lot.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
We know his arrogance is going to override his reason. But, what it comes down to is I'm sure he has advisors telling him, if you win, you're going to be the president during the hardest economic fallout in history. So he might be like, oh, it's easier just to go back to New York and sit in my tower than deal with this crap. So I don't know. We'll see. But, Biden, if you know what's going on with him and Chuck Schumer is already looking at the first 100 days of Biden's administration. And really all they want to do is just go back to 2012. They'll roll back a few of Trump's executive orders and they might get rid of the filibuster, but there is no talk of helping the American people.
None whatsoever
at all from the Democrats.
Not at all. This is a disaster in the making. I think they are overreaching their personal wealth and friendships with the oligarchs to the point where people are going to be massively piling up on becoming guillotine operators.
Yeah. Well, why did FDR went to the rich and he said, look, you either give in taxes now or it all falls apart. And he understood that. FDR actually understood that he had to save capitalism.
He did, absolutely.
And had Bernie been elected, Bernie would have saved capitalism. But I think these arrogant, greedy motherfuckers screwed up, and it might all collapse because of their greed and their arrogance.
I couldn't agree more. Would you say that's about right, Whit?
That's about right. Well said.
Yeah, I think that they have definitely gone too far with all the other pressures on society and the planet. They have gone too far, and people are snapping. They're snapping right now. And I want to put some good stuff in here. Melissa H. Exactly. The good owners are keeping their renters in their apartments, their houses, working with them to make payments or forgiving their rent when they are able to do that. There are some good people left.
There are.
Absolutely. And this is what we're hoping, Melissa, is that there are enough of these good people to keep us whole, not healed, but whole through this time of crisis. This is the crisis, and it's coming. Now, I want to continue through this clip. I got one more clip here, and believe me, watch the whole thing. It's 12 minutes long, but this is 436 through 435 through. Okay.
And partly a kind of economic card game. Here's the reality. Inequality in the United States, which was very severe before all of this hit in March, and was itself a contributor to the crash, has now become even worse. You all know the numbers, that we have 50 million people filing for unemployment, and Jeffrey Bezos, just to pick one, has an increase of $20 billion in his already stupendous wealth. These are realities that are unsustainable. Emotionally, politically, ideologically, everything will crumble in the face of this harsh reality. Number two, we have something which psychologists call mass denial. The people at the top seem to imagine, wrongly, historically proven over and over again, that somehow the mass of people can be plunged into really abject suffering and it will not somehow come back to bother them. They are in for a rude shock. Finally, the stock market. The stock market is no mystery at all. The Federal Reserve has pumped trillions of new money, dollars worth of new money into our economy. That new money is not going to hire people or to produce more goods or to expand enterprises, because we have a crashed economy. The folks out there can't buy what we would produce now normally, let alone if we increase. So where does the money go? Answer: into the stock market. The people who get it, the banks, the large corporations, the wealthy, take the new money, buy shares of stock, bid them up, and so you get this disconnect, as you rightly put it, that is, as I want to stress, historic evidence proves over and over again, this cannot persist, especially in a country like ours that for the previous century prided itself on creating a large middle class.
What middle class?
I'm going to be the man who screams Richard Wolff, because he's exactly right. I would stake my life on it. Honest to God. So there you go. I could just cut through this whole thing. I'm not going to do it.
I'm a huge fan of Wolf too, but I want to tell you guys, he's an amazing debater when it comes to the conservatives taking him on about his socialist ways. He went on Bet David's program, Valuetainment, a couple of weeks ago, and it is an amazing interview where Wolf holds his own because Bet David is an entrepreneur who is from Iran, who came here and he's getting rich, and he thinks he's an everyday American following the American dream, and that it's working for him because he pulled himself up by his bootstraps. And Wolf does an amazing job of just laying him out in that interview. So please go check that out.
Please do. All this information. Now, the bonus round is going to end in a few minutes, but I can't leave this without putting what Crystal pointed out on her radar this morning.
Seal it up for us, Crystal.
Deal it up for us, Crystal.
Allow me to take you on a little tour of America in the coronavirus age. So there's this. A record-breaking number of Americans have lost health insurance. More than 5 million Americans have lost coverage during a pandemic, which is not only the most for a 2-month time frame, but it is the most even if you were to expand to a full year. And this is actually on the low end of estimates. When you add in their family members, Kaiser Family Foundation believes the real number to be more like 27 million Americans.
Yeah.
There's this, which we are covering today with Professor Richard Wolff. 1 out of 3 Americans missed their July rent or mortgage payments. And remember, this is while many are still enjoying the benefits of that $600 unemployment plus up and the lingering effects of the one-time stimulus payment and some small business loans. What's it going to look like when eviction and foreclosure moratoriums expire? Increasingly, those Americans who may be lucky enough to have a job may not have anywhere to send their kids while they are at work. 40% of child care centers say that they will absolutely not be able to make it without further assistance. And then there's this. The graph of rich people's feelings shows an ebullient mood. It's an ecstatic jubilee of wealth and grotesque disconnect. Are they taking crazy pills? Are we taking crazy pills? Who knows? But a new Bloomberg interview was maybe one of the most bizarrely revealing pieces that I've read on what exactly is going on right now, where you can walk down the street and see a zombie wasteland and states are reclosing and schools are closing and business loss is accelerating and our nation's a leader all walking around like, this is fine. Journalist Max Abelson decided months ago to try to get a sense of how our nation's billionaires were coping with and thinking about the coronavirus crisis. So he called up his billionaire friend and he recorded his thoughts over these many weeks and months of pandemic and deaths and breadlines and protests. Let me just say, it's a pretty remarkable portrait. Let's go through a few of the highlights here. So here's how Mr. Billionaire responded when COVID was very first designated as a pandemic. What the F? I'm not worried, he said. I'm sure I already have it. What do I care? His family was heading to their country house outside New York City, but he was staying put, working the phones for his job, investing billions of dollars for clients. He didn't know much about the unfolding catastrophe, which made him just like everyone else. Now, the callousness of this statement is, of course, rather brazen. But what's also interesting about it is, on the one hand, you could say, wow, these supposed geniuses didn't really seem to have any special insights or knowledge here. We've had mass death and joblessness, and he didn't seem to see it coming. On the other hand, in a way, he actually did turn out to be completely right. He and his family had no reason to care. Nothing to worry about.
No reason to care. And it goes on.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that fucking moment, like in 29, when the market crashed and all these suckers put guns in their mouths and they jumped out their windows. And I know that sounds cold, but you know what? What's cold is watching half the country starving and living out on the streets under tarps while they just fill their pockets with our tax dollars. So sorry if it's cold, but I can't wait for that moment.
Thus, they've been militarizing the police forces and bringing in federal agents to Portland. Bringing in federal agents without the permission of the governor, nor did she ask. And they're cracking heads down in Portland. This is fascism gone crazy. Now, why the governor of Oregon did not have those federal agents arrested and thrown out of the state, I don't know the behind that, but if I was Brown, I would tell the White House, get your goddamn federal agents out of our state. We are handling this operation. And look, you've just severely or mortally wounded one individual by shooting him in the head with a tear gas canister.
Yeah, that's what, they don't care. We're chattel to them. We're cattle to them. They don't freaking care. And it's time that we start pushing back.
We cannot allow this to continue. we have to find ways, and it's not going to be the same as it was in 29. It's going to be totally different, and I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it. I don't know. Last word, ladies. We've run 15
Yeah,
over.
Melissa, you're right. Melissa says that's not going to happen this time, Shanda. They are already stashing millions and billions offshore. They will just find, and they'll be fine and dandy. You're right. They've got their bunkers. They're ready for the uprising of the poor people to come at them. So yeah,
Well,
I agree.
It's going to be a mess. I don't know what it's going to be. Whitney, do you have any ideas? What is it going to be, Whitney? People living in cardboard boxes and just letting them get...
Yeah, Trumpville's right, that Hooverville, and Hoover didn't help the economy. That's how we got FDR. So we should be calling squatters Trumpvilles at this point because Trump is not helping. And I hate to say, like, it's not going to be any better under Biden, and that's part of the issue, right? So it's just we're just not helping ourselves, and it's so freaking frustrating because we do have the tools to pull ourselves out of this, but we have socially constructed this capitalist narrative that we have to do it by the book, and that's why we can't adapt. We have to adapt, and we're not adapting, at least the people in power.
Woo, go Whitney!
I mean, they're talking about worse than Great Depression stuff. I mean, okay, as knowing some history, that is the most frightening thing ever. There was dust bowls, people not eating, people out on the streets. I mean, you're talking 10 times probably that. It's going to be chaos in one word.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy that Women's Wednesday was focused so pinpoint on finances, but hey, that's just the state of the world right now.
Yeah, that's how it rolls into my little brain. Again, thanks, Amber. You had to leave a little early. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Shanda.
Thank you, Oz.
Thank you, chat. You guys are
chat.
great.
You were rocking it today. It's always great, and we hope we bring a different kind of a program. We call it a show, but it's just, I guess it's the daily. It's the dive bar. I mean, we're gonna have to have whatever, do something. And again, thanks for all the comments, and agree to disagree, whatever. But we love you all, one way or another. What do we got coming up? We've got accidental activists is the next thing coming up tonight. We've got
accidental activists tomorrow.
Tonight you've got you're going to be on Women's Wednesday with.
I am. Whitney and I will be on the Natural Progressive, toting the Dames of Doom. So why not carry on the doom and gloom of this morning to this tonight? And of course, we will cover the We Are So Fucked moments of the week and things that gotta go. So start thinking and bring them to the chat. We love to hear it.
Good. We got PDPR, the convention, how a convention actually should be run. Hopefully we can run it pretty well. I'm going to be working on that with Larry Taylor here in about a half hour. So I'm looking forward to that. And let's see. So that's going to be PDPR. The convention is going to be Saturday. No joke this weekend. Sorry, guys. We got to
no joke.
No. We got to do some really serious stuff. So it might be interesting. Saturday and Sunday. And then we're back again with the dive next week if I live through the weekend. We're going to go out today. Tell us about this song. This is Nina Simone, Feeling Good. I feel good.
This is a cover of Nina Simone. Yeah, I love all music. My genres of music go back 110, 120 years. I'll listen to everything. I was in a bluesy mood the other day and I came across this. I thought it was wonderful.
God, I didn't know you were that old. You look great for 110 there, Shem.
I know, right?
Oh my God in heaven. Anyway, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Right. Let's let me know if you can hear this. I don't know if I've got it cued right. I've had so many tabs open this morning, girls. Damn it. Put your earplugs in. Okay, there you go. She's ready. There she goes.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling can